In this video, I'll share with you 10 beginner-level ChatGPT mistakes that reduce your productivity. These are mistakes that I made myself or observed in others. So, if you're not yet a total expert who is using ChatGPT several times every day, avoiding these 10 mistakes will significantly boost your productivity. By the way, if we haven't met yet, hello, nice to meet you. I'm Greg from Switzerland. I'm a former McKinsey alumni company consultant, and on this channel I focus on productivity and AI. If that sounds interesting to you, you might want to consider subscribing to this channel. Alright, mistake number 1 is overthinking prompt engineering. I think this is a very common thing where you have people not using ChatGPT because they think it's so complicated. You need to figure out exactly what to type to get the perfect response. But actually, in many cases, you can just type a few words and you'll already get a great response that provides 90% of the value compared to a response that comes for a very long prompt where you need a lot of time to just write the prompt. So in many situations, it's a good idea to just forget about all these ideas of prompt engineering. Just try a few words and a very short prompt, and perhaps the result is already great. And if the output isn't correct, you can still correct it after that. It's not like you wasted anyone's time or any money because it's free, and it's not like another person is writing an answer here. It's just computer time, just as if you were to try a Google search and the result is not exactly how you wanted it. What you'll do is just you try another search, right? Mistake number 2 is sort of the opposite, and that is treating ChatGPT like a search engine. So often it's great to be short, but you can't really use, for example, one-word prompts very effectively. So let's, for example, say you search Elon Musk. What you'll get from ChatGPT is most likely just an answer in paragraphs as text. But in Google, you also get links to news, you get images, and all kinds of things. And so in these cases, you shouldn't just enter a word, but you should actually enter a short question or what you want to know. Otherwise, the output isn't really great, and you might actually rather use Google or a traditional search engine in these specific cases. Mistake number 3 is to use a third-party app pretending to be ChatGPT, and that actually happened to one of my family members. What happens is that you go to the App Store on the smartphone, you search ChatGPT, and the first result is usually some advertisement from a competitor, and then people download that and it works, but you'll have to pay money. So actually you will pay for something that's supposed to be free. So just make sure you use the official ChatGPT app, which is provided by OpenAI. Mistake number 4 is to blindly believe everything that ChatGPT says. And there is an interesting case here that happened in 2023 where a lawyer in Manhattan tried to submit cases to a court, and all of these cases were actually totally invented by ChatGPT. And of course, that doesn't make a very professional impression, neither in law nor in any other professional field. So make sure that you always double check your sources if something is coming out of ChatGPT. Mistake number 5 is sharing personal sensitive information. And I get asked about that all the time when I talk to people about AI. But the good news here is that there is not really too much that you need to learn, because you can simply treat ChatGPT and all the other AI tools like a search engine. You wouldn't have the thought in your head even to enter your passwords into Google, right? So you just do the same with ChatGPT. I should add that you need to be even more careful when you use a third-party service that is built on top of ChatGPT, because in that case, that third-party service provider can also read all your conversations, and that's more likely to be a privacy problem than just sending data to ChatGPT, where there is so much data that no one will most likely even read it. Mistake number 6 is over-reliance on AI for critical tasks. And so one example here would be that in consulting, I have to do a competitor analysis, and it's quite normal these days that you just enter a prompt in ChatGPT about this and see the result. And it's also very normal that these results end up on a slide and that the slide gets presented to a client. And so it's conceivable that this happens in a hurry and no one ever thinks about what actually goes on the slide. But with this procedure, you might miss obvious points and you might put irrelevant information on the slide. I think it's a bit like math with and without a calculator. If you ever met someone who only used a calculator for math during their whole school time, you'll know that they are really bad at calculating things in their head. And it's the same with ChatGPT and AI tools. If you only rely on them, you sort of turn off your brain and you lose your own critical thinking ability. So that's why you shouldn't just rely on ChatGPT output, at least for now, as long as AI is not much smarter than we humans are. Mistake number 7 is failing to iterate and refine responses. And I know someone who complained that ChatGPT doesn't give him the right response when he asks something, and that's the reason for him to go back to his old procedure where he doesn't use AI. But what that person should do instead is just see what exactly in the output is not what he wants and how should it be changed. And then you don't even need to start a new conversation. You just write a second prompt where you ask what should be changed and you let ChatGPT iterate as many times as you need and until the output is exactly how you want it. Mistake number 8 is not understanding the contextual limitations of ChatGPT and other AI tools. And you don't notice that when you just enter a few prompts, but many use cases of ChatGPT that I have are actually having longer conversations where you write dozens or even hundreds of prompts inside of the same conversation. And in that case, you need to know that ChatGPT and also other AI tools tend to forget what was talked about in the beginning. So a rule of thumb that I use is that ChatGPT probably remembers the last 10 or so messages, and everything that's older than 10 messages, most likely I will need to re-enter that information or copy-paste it from earlier in the conversation. Mistake number 9 is to expect consistent and identical responses for entering the same prompt several times. And the problem here is that ChatGPT is not like Google, but it is probabilistic, and every time it generates a new answer. Sometimes you'll even see that for your one question, it generates 2 possible answers next to each other, and it asks you to pick the one you think is better. So don't expect that you can re-enter the same prompt and get the same answer again a second time. The good news, however, is that you can always look up old conversations in the menu on the left. So if there was a conversation you liked or an answer you want to see again, you can just look it up in these previous conversations. Now, mistake number 10 is a big one again, and that is not integrating ChatGPT smoothly into your workflow. Maybe you heard about Atomic Habits from James Clear, which is a book about productivity and habits. And his third rule is to make things easy. And so to give you an example here, famous YouTuber Ali Abdaal, who is also often talking about productivity, he makes his filming very easy by setting his camera and lighting and monitors and microphone and everything he needs to produce his videos. He sets it up, so he just has to press a button and he's ready to film. And if you want to be highly productive, you want to make using ChatGPT as easy as possible. And I think the best way to do that is by using the ChatGPT Google Chrome extension, where you can simply enter your prompt in the search bar and it will open ChatGPT right away. Now, if you'd like to use that, I have a video where I explain step by step how you can do that very easily, and you can watch it by just clicking on this video that I linked right here. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in my next video.